Assalamu alaikum students. Today we will talk about 20th century fiction and prose, and our important writer is Virginia Woolf. Her time period is from 1882 to 1941, and from this time period you have got the idea that she is a modernist writer, and she also got the fame related to feminist criticism as well as feminist movement. Uh, so far as her birth and death is concerned, she was completely an English writer, and she was influenced by the modern writer of her time, James Joyce, and then the classic writer like William Shakespeare and Emily Bronte. So far as her early schooling is concerned, she was homeschooled in English classics and Victorian literature from a young age, because at that time patriarchal society as well as male dominated society was not at all in favor of the education of females at schools. From 1897 to 1901, she attended the Ladies' Department of King's College, London, where she studied classics and history and came into contact with early reformers of women's higher education and the women's rights movement. As I told you earlier, that in male dominated society, the males were considered to be the heads, as well as their verdict, their decision were the final decisions for the family. So the females had to follow all the directions set by the male members of the society. So according to that narrow minded society, it was the high time, when other women leaders, other women writers were talking about the rights of women. So Virginia Woolf was lucky enough to join one of those organizations, through which she also became an activist, or you may say an active member, as well as the active leader so far as the movement of women's rights was concerned. She had to face lots of problems and difficulties, because in living that limited world, or in narrow-minded society, she had to follow all the rules and regulations which were set by the males of that time. Even then, her father was to some extent was very encouraging person, and he encouraged Virginia Woolf to write professionally. First she started writing um, for her own, because before her, many writers used to write the stories or fiction or any other works by the names of male members of society. You may quote George Eliot's name in this regard. In the same way, Virginia Woolf started writing by her own name, but her writings were never published. So in 19th century, early 19th century, her father encouraged her and she started writing professionally. After her father's death in 1904, the Stephen family moved from Kensington to the more bohemian Bloomsbury area, where, in conjunction with the brothers' intellectual friends, they formed the artistic and literary Bloomsbury group. This group was very much liked and fascinated by the people who were literary minded and artistic in their nature. So all types of intellectual people tried to join this very group. So it was again the lucky time for Virginia Woolf. By joining that group, she also got the fame. In 1912, she married Leonard Woolf, and in 1917, the couple founded the Hogarth Press, which published much of her work. It was also one of the major and influential part of her life, that after her father, another person who was her husband, he was also influential and helping hand for Virginia Woolf for the publications of her work. But every time the same luck does not help the person's life, or the person in the whole life. In the same way, they rented a home in Sussex and later moved there permanent till 1940. Woolf, who was Virginia Woolf's husband, he had romantic relationships with women, and one female lover was Vita Sackville West, whose books Woolf had published through Hogarth Press. Both women's literature became inspired by their relationship, which lasted until Woolf's death. During the interwar period, First World War period, Woolf was an important part of London's literary and artistic society, and in 1915 she published her first novel, The Voyage Out, through her half brother's publishing house, Gerald Duckworth and Company. This was the publishing house, and with the help of this publishing house or company, her first novel, The Voyage Out, came to the surface, and she got fame so far as the world of fiction was concerned. Her best known works include the novels Mrs. Dalloway, which published in 1925, To the Lighthouse, published in 1927, and Orlando, which published in 1928. All these three novels were really able to fascinate the whole world, not only the females but the males of that time towards them. And she is also known for her essays such as A Room of One's Own, which published in 1929, and it was based on the privacy of the person, that the female are also the members of this very society and they need privacy. They must have their particular space in society. She became one of the central subjects of the 1970s movement of feminist criticism, because she started working with the organizations which were dealing and leading the articles or posters for women's rights. So she also had to face the criticism of that time. Her works, which were translated into more than 50 languages at that time, and it was a greater credit which she got at that time, and her works attracted attention and widespread commentary for inspiring feminism. A large body of writing is dedicated to her life and work. She has been the subject of plays, novels, and films. After getting fame, she got the place among the theatrical plays, and she is commemorated by statues, societies dedicated to her work, and a building at the University of London. Societies, literary societies, and statues, they all the time commemorate Virginia Woolf for her greater part so far as literary world is concerned. Why Virginia Woolf is entitled as a modernist? She is a modernist because she was one of the pioneers of using stream of consciousness technique as a narrative device alongside contemporaries such as Marcel Proust, Dorothy Richardson, and James Joyce. Uh, you have read about stream of consciousness technique, that this is amalgamation of past and present at the same time, or flashbacks as well as the flash forwards. This technique is there to read the mind of the character. So psychological realism has been highlighted or presented by Virginia Woolf with the help of stream of consciousness technique. With the invention of this very technique, she is entitled as a modernist. Woolf's reputation was at its greatest during the 1930s, but declined considerably following the Second World War. The growth of feminist criticism in 1970s helped re-establish her reputation. When in 1970s feminist criticism was at its peak, most of the writers or the key workers of this very movement, they started getting help from the ideas of Virginia Woolf when she started writing about women's rights. So again she was in the fame. What are the major themes which she tried to highlight or depict in her writings? Imperfect marriage. Most of the times the women or the females who are living in male dominated society, they had to bear all types of difficulties, although their marriages are perfect or imperfect. But most of the times the marriages were imperfect just because of the less education, because women were not at all educated enough or equally to the men of that time. So they didn't have the proper knowledge about their life as well as their rights. Then academia. Most of the time, she deals in her novels and short stories about the education of women, because she was of the view that if women are considered to be the half of the sky, why should not they be able to get a pursue for higher education? So they must be permitted to get a university education, and as well as they must be settled in their life by having proper jobs in society. Appearance and secrecy. This is also one of the important theme of Virginia Woolf, which she highlighted in her works, because people are different from appearance, and secretly or hiddenly they are someone else as they are presented in the life. We are not in the opinion that Virginia Woolf highlighted some ideal life. She was bitterly realistic, and she highlighted all the experiences which she herself experienced, which she herself faced, and she got the idea of presentation of that bitter reality for the females of that time. Ambition, then success or failure. All the people who are ambitious, sometimes they get success, sometimes they have to face failure. In the same way, she highlighted this very theme in the uh, mm, regards of women and their treatment in society, that if males are ambitious, why not the females? If females are educated, they must be ambitious to get some proper objective in their life. They must have some ideal in their life to become a proper and productive citizen of the society. And she also dealt with this ambition with the concept of success as well as failure, that she was not all the time favoring success only, but she was also presenting failure, because in doing something, not all the time human beings are going to face success. They have to face failure, and failure is a phenomena through which human beings, including the females also, they can learn many things about life, that what sort of abilities they were lacking, that's why they faced failure, and how can they rectify the failure. The last major theme is children or the childishness. If the male members are considered to be one of the major or pivotal members so far as the childhood or the upbringing of the family or the children is concerned, in the same way females are also the pivotal figure, or they must be the pivotal figure so far as the growth, education and training of the children. What is her speciality? She wrote aristocratic theory, she wrote literary history, and she wrote lots of articles so far as women's writing or women's rights were concerned. She also got the fame so far as her written articles were related to politics of power, because the power or the politics were all the time related to the males only, and masculine opinions were considered to be the weighty opinions, the important opinions, the significant ones. So she wrote in a way that if the females were all the time ignorant and they are being ignored by the males, so the power as well as aristocratic theory will be in favor of males every time. She changed the mentality, she changed the whole scenario of thinking for the males and females of that time, and it was the seed of her thinking which she gave to the area of thinking for all the people. Her style is completely modernist and feminist, and you may find the modernist perspective a touch in her writing, because the scenario which she was presenting at the panorama of life which she was dealing in her writings, that was completely modernist and completely feminist. That he was not all the time writing in the favor of females, but he also wrote about the disloyalty as well as the faithlessness and selfishness of the females while living in that conservative and traditional society. She most of the times left many ideas for the speculation of the readers in her writing, and just to think about the proper end or the proper psychological insight which she gave in her writings. And through that particular mindset, the people were able to understand the psychology of that particular nobility. And she also gave the idea that nobility was coming down, and the people were not at all following all the standards set by the traditional mindset of the people. She gave the stream of consciousness technique, which we have discussed earlier, and she was self-doubted a human being. All the time she was writing about the things or the ideas which she had in her mind, but she was not doubtless. She was all the time full of doubts about the all those ideas and abilities. That's why she presented the double standards of society with the help of this very quality. What was the main quality through which Virginia Woolf got the fame? She used the point of view of shifted into insight of characters' minds through flashbacks, through impressions, or through association of ideas. These were the three different parts of her writing. Means flashbacks, which she used in her stories, in her novels, uh, as the character was doing something at present time, her mind or his mind was in past, and with the help of flashback, Virginia Woolf presented the insight of her character, whether it was male or female. Then she gave impressions, different impressions on face, which were based on emotions, psychology of the character, as well as emotional setback. And then association of ideas. She presented different ideas which were associated to the personality, and with the help of personification, sometimes similes, and then animal imagery, she presented the clear insight of her characters. This was all about Virginia Woolf as a modernist writer. Thank you very much for being with me.